You better believe it, and good morning. This is a show I want to do. I mean, lots of times you think, do we do what they want, or do we want what they do? Or this is a show that I want to do. It's Saturday morning, and it's going to be 90. It's a break a record day. The record, by the way, is 78 degrees. Today we're going to 90. Sunday, 67 degrees, and on Monday, 74 degrees. Thank you for being here. Now, I am bringing these guys on. You talk about people that I have respect for. And it's been so much talk about Jiu Jitsu. And I happen to know Briscoe, who is a Jiu Jitsu practitioner. He's a black belt. And I said, man, we got to put a show together. And you brought Connor. Would you introduce Connor to the audience? Take your time.
Good morning. I train at Planet Denver, and this is the owner. His name's Connor Heun. And, you know, he's a black belt. He trained MMA. He learned directly from a guy named Eddie Bravo.
When you said Eddie
in
Bravo.
LA.
Yeah.
And,
wow.
you know, Eddie is he's an innovator in Jiu Jitsu. He's half crazy, like I think all of us. And, you know, he's really good friends with Rogan, because Rogan in his early days.
Yeah,
well,
sure.
I don't know how long ago.
Well, Rogan lived in
25.
Boulder.
Yeah.
He used to come to the radio show.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, right.
I never caught one of those programs, but
he was a stand-up comic.
yeah, oh yeah, and he still is.
And
yeah.
he was a fighter.
Yep. Yeah. He did Taekwondo on the East Coast.
So I knew him.
Yep.
Yeah. And he was tough.
Yeah. And so, Connor's got good, what they call lineage, right? And plus his father's, I think, a big part of why he is who he is.
Moving real close, if you would. Connor, move in close to the mic. Oh, don't serve me. and your dad, a wrestling coach, right?
Yeah. He coached wrestling in Boulder Valley. He was at Casey Junior High for a while. He was at Holy Family. He was at Fairview High School. That's where I went. He was my wrestling coach at Fairview back in the 90s. I graduated back in 97.
You guys both looked the part. You do. You really looked the part. I mean, doesn't he? I mean, yeah. I mean, he just, you know, going in someplace, go, no, I'm not him. Or that guy walks out, no. So when Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, which is people know that through the Gracies.
Yep.
And the story goes, and I think I told you and it was to the credit of Mayor Webb. Mayor Webb allowed for the first UFC MMA fights in North America to happen in Boulder, to happen at McNichols.
I didn't know that Webb was involved with the yay or nay.
He had to be. He was mayor. And so I knew some of those people, and Jim Brown was there.
Yep.
Jim Brown called it. Also, the G-man that worked with Rick and Mike, who had spent a career on the billboard.
Yep.
Well,
he was the announcer.
He was the ring guy. He was the ring guy, and I knew a couple guys that actually fought in it. And
I was training at the time, early '90s. So I graduated high school in '89. I was working and going to school at Arapahoe Community College. They had a General Motors program.
Okay.
So like one semester you went to school and worked a little. Next semester you didn't go to school, you just worked.
Okay.
Back and forth for 2 years, and it was a good program. So I was doing some martial arts prior, and during college I didn't train as much. But some of the guys that I trained with, they all went to the first two UFCs, which both of them were in Denver. Like,
no, the first one was at
Boulder?
was at McNichols.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the next one was at the ballroom on Colfax.
Yeah, I know what Mammoth? No, not Mammoth.
No, I think you're right. I think it's Mammoth.
Yeah, and that's where they had some sabakis. Was at that same location.
And I have some shirts from that. And and then after that they shut it down. And they never fought again. And
Denver shut it down.
Denver.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't realize that.
They didn't permit the next fights.
Once they saw what they were doing,
they were mad dogs.
Well, I'm glad they got a second one in, because that could have been shut down after the first one.
Well, they got 2 fights in, two shows in. And the Gracies won both of them.
Yep. Oh yeah. It woke up the world. You know,
They
that
really
was the
did.
big division right there. Is the quote martial art world.
That man on the other side of the glass worked for Vince McMahon.
Oh.
He's Vince's guy.
Okay.
And so Frank Shamrock, they were the shoot fighters out of Japan. And they were shooters. And long way around the barn. I'm going to try and pull him back in because the Shamrocks and Dr. Death, Steve Williams, Doc grew up here, and then Doc went and he ended up in the chutes. He fought in the Egg Dome. He fought in the Egg Dome in the chutes, and we talked about the chutes, and I said that must have been something. They were all sort of precursors to who or what you guys are.
Yeah, Frank and Ken.
That's right.
I think both did that, and then Marquardt, did he do some of the shoot? He did some shoot fighting in Japan.
Yeah,
You know, Nate Marquardt is a big name in the UFC as far as the early days of the Colorado UFC level guys that fought. Nate was one of them.
And and when Doc was sick and literally came home to pass.
Yep.
And he rode Harleys, and we rode together. I said, take him on remotes with me.
Okay.
And guys turned out to see Doc, man. Doc, and his mom told me, they said they put a padlock on the refrigerator.
When he was cutting weight?
No,
Eat him out of house and home.
He did. And he was a Lakewood guy. And he got named Dr. Death in high school. They named him Dr. Death in high school.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
And he was. Did you know Doc? Did you know him at all? I'm going back on the other side of Jonathan. Did you know Dr. Death at all? Were you in the business then?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. Yeah. But he was really an important guy, and I was with him for a year before we lost him, year and a half. But he and the Junkyard Dog, he told these great stories and the jiu-jitsu guys are just as nuts.
Oh yeah, I remember you just saying like after you interviewed them, you're talking to them afterwards, and they're like, "Yeah, we're not civilized."
No, well, the Gracies told me that.
Yeah.
He told me we're not civilized.
Yeah.
Because I got pretty close with him because I'd have him on the show all the time.
Yeah, good on you.
Oh no, but I wanted to be around them, so it starts in the 20s, right? When the Japanese guy, tell the story of how they got to Brazil.
So the official Gracie story, and it's funny because I just watched a podcast the other day where there's guys kind of poking holes in it. But basically, Elio and his brother Carlos. Carlos was the one. Their father, who I don't know their name, he was a politician or something in that world.
Yes.
So the Japanese would, have a well-established relationship with the Brazilians for trade, and some Japanese
were merchants.
So one of these merchant guys from Japan that was probably a high roller, he knew jiu-jitsu, and as I think a thank you to Carlos and Elio's father, he started teaching Carlos and Elio the
Mitsu Maeda.
There he goes.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah, Mitsu Maeda. He was a student of Jigoro Kano.
Well, Kano starts judo, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so he taught Maeda. Maeda took it to Brazil, taught it to the Gracies.
Because the Kodokan is named after him, right?
I don't know.
I think that's where they got Kodokan, is from Kano.
Yep, I don't know. I'm laughing because I talked to Dwayne Ludwig just a couple days ago, and he's a legit, really good Muay Thai guy. Yeah. He had the record for quickest knockout in the UFC at one point, and his sensei is Boss Rutan, and say no more when you say
more after that.
Talking to Dwayne, he knows that era, the early era, like he knows the names and all the stuff, and I'm just like, you need to be with Pete. You need to get on Pete's show.
I want to have him on 11 seconds. When they would see Boss Rutan, they'd leave.
Oh yeah, well yeah, and there's stories like he's at a bar. One of the fight stories.
He's
at a bar and a professional football player. Like they bumped into one another.
Backed him down.
And the guy wanted to fight, and he's like, ear to ear grin. He's like, let's go outside.
Yeah.
And his friends were like, no, don't
go
it's
with
like,
that guy.
You might look bigger than him, but that guy actually knows how to fight.
Well, Doc was like that.
Yeah.
Doc was like that. I caught Doc on the other end, but people told stories about Doc. We'll get Jonathan back in here, but those guys like the Iron Sheik. The Iron Sheik actually, he wrestled in Iran.
Yeah.
He was their guy. And
God, yeah,
they brought him here, and they said, look, they gave him to Vern. He went to Vern school, and he was tearing everybody up. And they said, who is this guy? It was the Iron Cosgrove Vasiri was the Iron Sheik's name.
So he's got good tie-ins with all the
Well, I worked for him.
pro wrestling. He used to be one of the ring
see
guys
that man
here
in there?
town.
That man worked for Vince.
Yeah.
He
And you
worked for Vince.
survived.
He survived it. We's got the best stories. We'll tag him in here. We'll get him at the break. So, which is first, jiu-jitsu or judo?
Judo.
Judo's first, and judo means gentle way. Jiu-jitsu means hard way, or means words to that effect. Does that hold up?
I don't think
I think
so.
jujitsu means, I mean, I've always heard
Yeah.
it. It's been
Gentle
drilled
art.
into my head. Jujitsu means gentle art. I don't know what judo means.
I thought judo was the gentle way. Because
I know
Do's-
jujitsu
because
means
Do
like
is
the gentle way.
his
I
way.
don't know what judo means.
He must have been something.
Well, you know, both of the early guys I've heard that, you know, the guy who started judo, he's a tiny dude.
No,
Now,
little
maybe
guy.
that's not saying nothing in Japan at that time.
Yeah.
Maybe they were all tiny, but, you know, the story we get is like he was a littler guy that needed something to work to defend himself.
Where does Aikido fit in all of that in terms of time, in terms of frames?
I don't know.
Because the guy finds Aikido as a little guy too,
Yeah.
and he's throwing all these.
Yeah, Aikido, you know.
Yeah, I know.
There's certain, you know, like a lot of these martial arts, again, back to when the UFC came to town, it created this real split.
Yes, it did.
where I think the majority of people went, oh no, like we got to learn how to fight on the ground. But then there was some that were like, nope, nope, nope. What we know would kill those guys. And it's like, try, come on in, try, you know.
They welcomed it.
Yeah, and you know, I'm thinking Aikido. There's some good wrist locks in Aikido, and I love to do wrist locks, but so much of the martial arts, it's like it doesn't hold up
What I
to
love,
a quote real fight.
when I became friends with the Gracies, they gave me some of their home movies.
Yep.
Those 8 tracks.
Yep.
They're on the beach in Ipanema. Connor, tell those stories. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Hickson.
I mean, Gracie Challenge. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's, you know, those guys would take on all comers and
People
and they
came up to
welcomed
them.
it
Yeah.
because they wanted to prove the legitimacy of the art. You know,
Make
I
a
grew up
yeah.
as a wrestler, and you know, my dad was a wrestling coach. I was convinced that wrestlers were the toughest guys on the planet. I saw that first UFC, and my whole world changed. I said, "Uh-oh, I need to learn that."
They
you
had
know.
a sumo guy. I remember those first fights. We had ringsides.
Yep. Yeah, the big guy.
Great
that
big-
got the two.
Got his tooth
Gerard,
kicked out.
They just Gerard.
the Dutchman,
And he
Gerard
was-
Giroux,
he was dirty.
knocked him down, and when that guy went to the ground, Gerard gave him a kick, and the tooth
You could
flew
see
out.
it.
And
See
like
it go.
so I've heard
Yeah.
like on podcasts,
Yes.
Shamrock and some of those guys that were there at the time telling the story, like they're in the back watching on the screen,
Yes.
and when that dude's tooth went into the audience, a bunch of them went like, "What are we doing?"
No, that was a real thing. That was really real. And there was all the blood was on the canvas, and they're saying, "Oh, these guys must be legit."
Yeah.
But the Gracie said that he was not a nice guy, Gerard. That he stood,
No. Well,
Yeah.
so you know, the story goes, he tried to eye poke Hoist in that
Yes.
fight.
Yeah,
he
he
bit him
bit
in
him,
that
right?
fight.
He bit him,
And
yeah.
I just the other day, I was reading a thing about Gerard, and in the back before his fight, smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of those guys. Like you know, years later, take Abbott. It's like that dude just got done drinking a 12-pack and goes into the ring. Gerard. He, smoking a cigarette, but he knew Dutch style striking,
yes.
so legit striking.
What the legacy of fighting, that you know, the history of prize fighting in this country is the history of the underclass.
Yeah.
If you understand, you know, from the Irish fighters, you know, and then it moves and in the heavy ranks, black fighters were not allowed in. I mean, after Jack Johnson, it was like no, until Joe Louis, and then Joe Louis comes in and gets the strap back as a heavyweight champion, and after that, and now you see Russian guys, a lot of guys, the Mexican fighters are brilliant, and guys come from all over the world. But
Yeah,
they,
MMA is worldwide at this point. China, Russia, the offshoots of Russia, some Europeans, all through the Americas.
one of the things that MMA did, or UFC did, or Jiu Jitsu did, was take this idea that the Shaolin monks were impregnable, that nobody could beat these monks from the, and you ever see those now the government of China protects those guys.
Yeah, there's, I mean,
Yeah, they do. They do protect them.
I've heard of seen a few of the fights where
I have too.
some
They're
old
challenged by an
timer
MMA
who
guy.
says
He's
he's
got
a
his-
master
yeah.
and he can with his hands
His
make 10
hands,
people
yes,
fall
yes.
to the ground.
Yes.
They get in the ring.
Hit them with chi
stupidly.
balls. They hit them with chi balls.
Yeah, They get in the ring with some 24-year-old that
Bang.
knows MMA, and it's so lopsided.
Which
it's a
changed.
joke, and so for China, they're trying to protect that a bit because it makes China's history look bad. Is my opinion.
Connor and Briscoe are here. I've been wanting to do the show on jiu-jitsu. I'm going to get the man back in here because he's got the best stories about pro wrestling. I mean, I had a good time, but not like he worked for Vince. I mean, I worked for Vern.
You saw the sideshow. He was at the main event.
I got to do 2 rings for Vince, but working and traveling with Vern was another. And those guys were legitimate tough guys.
Oh yeah.
They had that one guy, Baron von Raschke. Well, he was he was University of Nebraska, and he was a wrestler. I mean, he wrestled AAU, and a lot of those guys.
I think
did.
a lot, at least probably 50% of the pro wrestlers,
Yeah.
they come from a wrestling background.
Oh,
if not more.
Oh, you know how tough they were, and but there's nobody like you guys. I mean, I don't. I mean, I love fighting and everything like that, but man, the one guy that I think that when I saw for the first time, and you went, wait a minute, how good is? Well, who's the best you've seen? Who's the best you think you've seen?
Best fighter?
Yeah,
Man, Demetrius Johnson's pretty darn good. John Jones.
Mighty Mouse, John Jones. Is John Jones done?
I believe so.
Yeah,
He,
I saw.
he needs new hips.
He needs
I've been
hips?
through that myself.
Oh, did you?
Twice.
Hard to come back after that.
Man, I thought at one time nobody could beat John Jones.
Yeah, I mean, nobody has. Right?
At his prime, that's very much a good argument.
Bones Jones,
Yeah.
he tore him apart.
Yeah.
But I mean, his last fight with Stipe,
Yeah.
right? He brings in a karate expert,
Yep.
works on that spinning back kick
Bang.
for a year, for 6 months or whatever it is, one technique, knowing, and then executes, ends the fight with one shot. Man, it's hard to argue with that.
Yeah.
When you see that,
Yeah, and it's funny because Jones is a really good athlete.
oh,
He's got 2 older brothers in professional football.
Yeah,
Yes.
one of them just
Right?
passed.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh no.
well, they're
yeah, I believe.
when I saw him, I went, and you think, oh, good's good,
Yeah.
and the Shamrocks were really good too.
Oh yeah.
Frank was.
Yeah, they made a name for themselves,
They
and
sure
I think
did.
they probably did very well financially in Japan.
Did you know Frank when he was in working with you guys? Did you know the Shamrocks or Frank when Frank came over and worked for Vince?
No, I didn't know them then.
Now you know him.
We had the we had the Rousseau brothers.
The Russos. Remember?
Yeah, we had those stories.
All right, well, come get back in here. We'll share a mic, or you can take my mic. and you do the show.
Hey, I have one quick question.
One more. It's coming from.
Yeah, I have one quick question because I looked it up when you all were talking earlier to see what Briscoe thinks about this. So I looked up judo, and it says the gentle way.
See, that's what I thought too.
Jiu-jitsu said the gentle art.
Okay,
I think that word between art and way is a big difference. What do you guys say?
fellas.
Can you hear what he's saying?
Yeah, so he was saying that judo was the gentle way and that jiu-jitsu was the gentle art.
Okay. They're both
Either
quote,
way.
gentle.
Let me do it. All right, let me do. I'm gonna get Jonathan back in here. These guys are jiu-jitsu practicers. I guess that's what
Practitioners
you
is
say.
what
Practitioners,
they'll say.
players. 303-696-1971. I'm Peter Boyles. This is as good as it's going to get. Stay here. This is a favorite song. There's a reason for this song. It's called Hoppy Jean and Me. Hoppy Jean and Me. So the story is, Snuff Garrett wrote this song, and I used to do country disc jockey, and with Bob Lee, we met Snuff, and his mom, she was a World War II factory worker, and he wasn't sure of who his dad. It was one of those stories, but his mom would put him in the movie theater all day instead of putting him in. There wasn't daycare or whatever. She was working at Boeing or something, and so he watched cowboy movies all day in the theater, and he'd watch reruns and everything. And he realized that Hopalong Cassidy and Gene Autry and Roy Rogers raised him. They were his fathers. No, and he wrote that song, and he said, Hoppy Jean and Me. They taught me how to shoot straight when I was just a saddle bum with Hoppy Jean and Me. He's a little kid, and his mother's putting him in the theater. That's a hell of a song. Let me do this and Jonathan's joined us. He can't stay out of this one. And David Ellis, you've heard me talking about taking valuables to David Ellis to get fortunes in cash and secure an appraisal from David for the valuables you have tucked away in your home, and it's still true. And share the other reasons to see David, just in case you don't have a Rolex watch, rare coins, and a silver tea set. See David for all the most meaningful gift-giving occasions. David Ellis Jewelers, just the right item, just the right prices. And David Ellis Jewelers, the right things for all of us. An antique watch, emerald pendants, gold necklaces, diamond rings. This trusted jeweler has been buying precious metals and antiques in Colorado for decades. Dazzling cases filled with hundreds of new and used pieces your loved ones will treasure. Buying and selling, you see the man, David Ellis. He's there now. See for yourself on the black awning on the corner of 3rd and Clayton and Cherry Creek. He's there. Explore DavidEllisJewelry.com. Call my friend David, 303-322-8779, 303-322-8779, and tell David Peter Boyles sent you. Jonathan's back. Tell for the audience as well as our guests, special guests, jiu-jitsu players, Connor and Briscoe are here, how you worked and you were working for the WWF, WWE, and they just used one word, Vince. You worked for Vince. How did you get to Vince, and how long did you work there?
Well, it was really interesting because I was with the Dodgers at the time, and my goal was to try to get to the NFL. I was working in public relations and sports marketing. And then I get a call from somebody that worked with the WWF that graduated from the same master's program I did, sports administration. And he told me who he was, and I'm like, come on, wrestling? I was raised on wrestling.
Oh, of course.
I got a picture of Haystack Calhoun holding my daughter. And she's like my sister, and she's like a peanut. This is a 600-pound man in bib overalls.
And when they did interviews, the guy he'd say, Haystacks, what did you have for breakfast? Well, I had 3 loaves of bread. Remember that?
12 pancakes,
that's
or
right.
flapjacks.
2 dozen eggs. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the guy talks to me, and I'm like, come on, this is what I'm doing with the Dodgers down at Vero Beach. And he goes, you ever been in New York? And I go, I haven't. He goes, well, come out. We're in Connecticut. Come out on a Thursday, Friday. We'll let you stay for the weekend. So I go out there, and I'm expecting all these retired wrestlers and flannel shirts and stogies and big bellies. Everybody's 3-piece suits and MBAs. And I came to understand what a real business it was, because Vince was on the verge of taking it to that next level. As we talked about, they had all the different federations. He was starting to monopolize and bring them in. Cable TV was taking off. Pay-per-view was taking off. And I was blown away. Yeah. And he goes, how many games are you responsible for marketing? I go, 81. He goes, we're the home team everywhere we go. We do 1,000 events a year around the world. Wow. You want experience, this is where to get it.
And this is Vince saying this to you? Or?
No, this is the guy named Basil DeVito, which sounds like he should be in a mob movie.
Or in the ring.
He was one of my few mentors I had in life. Wow. He was a real marketer. And then because of the reasons we were discussing off the air, because of I was athletic, I didn't look like the typical front office kind of guy, and I was embraced by a lot of the wrestlers. That's how Vince came to know me, and I started working my way up the ranks. And he's a very interesting fellow, to say the least. I don't know if you guys saw the documentary, but I actually made the cut for like 7 seconds. I'm in that documentary.
I'm going to watch it
in the
again.
background.
What's the name of the documentary?
Yeah,
I think it's just called Vince.
Yeah, it was Vince.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's 6 or 7 piece documentary, and it shows all sides. the good and the bad and things, but this guy built an empire from this much. I mean, his dad obviously was doing a lot. He took it
Who's
totally
always
to the
known?
next
He's
level.
known as Senior, and he's known as Vince.
Yep.
You ever, I mean,
Yep.
and Vern was just Vern.
Vern.
I mean, and Vern was a legit wrestler too. He was an Olympic wrestler, and that's where he met Mad Dog Vachon. He met those guys, the '48 Olympics.
Yeah.
And he represented the United States, and they met the Vachons, who were wrestling for Canada, but they put him over as from Algeria.
Yeah.
Remember they said they were from Algeria? Remember that?
Your favorite is always Parts Unknown.
Parts Unknown is my favorite.
But, you know, a lot of these guys, you know, the disbelievers or the naysayers
No.
will always try to bump these guys off.
No.
Sorry for the wrestling vernacular. But these are serious athletes, as you guys know.
Yeah.
Pro wrestlers, high-level collegiate wrestlers, pro football players. These guys are massive. They're doing 140-pound gymnastic moves night after night after night.
Yeah, and my idol was Ric Flair. It was like, and Bravo, and the Gracies. I mean, any of those guys, you know. And when you're around them, and you realize they're first of all, they're good guys.
Yeah.
I thought of them as good guys.
Well, they are. They out of the different pro sports areas that I worked with, within baseball, football, NBA a little bit, the wrestlers were probably the most get-along guys because they knew they were in a very unique situation. Unlike pro baseball players or football players, their popularity has a degree somewhat on what their pay is.
Yeah.
Wrestling, what kind of heat you getting? You're either getting cheered or booed, and if you're not resonating, you're going to get dropped down the card.
Oh, and I got close to Doc and Steve Williams, Dr. Death, and we talked about the heat, you know, and I still say the heat for radio, you know, everything, and I've said this, everything I know about doing this business, I learned working in pro wrestling. Right. I did, and I was telling a story, and by the way, these guys, Connor and Briscoe, are just really special, and so we're doing, Channel 2 used to be a bunker down here on Spear Boulevard, and I did Factory Outlet, Free Hammer or Turkey commercials in there. But I was to shoot wrestling in there. And this was before the cable and the internet. So we were doing the same show every night, but no one knew. No one knew. Like when I would get to Casper, and one time they were doing a tag team, they were dropping the strap, as they said. They were changing champions that night. So we're dropping the strap tonight, and then we dropped the strap every night. But and I'm up there, and they said, and we're doing promos with the Crusher, Reggie Lazowski, great guy, and they do. We had to take a remote and go in Milwaukee. They do Crusher Fest. Did you know that? They do Crusher Fest, and his daughters come, and they look like the Crusher. They do, and so
choose your parents wisely.
Oh, wisely. And so we had because Crusher was big, but he wasn't tall, and they had a box that they stood on, and so I would be like, "Come on in, Crush," and he'd grab the mic, you know, I'll tell you, and it was always like. His tag out was, "The streets are going to run red with blood." Wednesday night, I think it was, in Casper, Wyoming. I love it. And then I had a take, and he'd step in. "I'll tell you what, Peter, you know, the streets are going to run red with blood Thursday night in Cheyenne." And we did that, and then it would end the same way. And then we do Denver Saturday night. And you start to put it together. They're teaching you.
Yeah.
If you want to listen to them, they're teaching you. And I've told the story too many times. Was in the parking lot in Casper, Wyoming, and we couldn't get out of there because people were waiting outside to stab guys, you know, because they're drunk. And he stops me in was Bobby Heenan.
Yeah.
No, did you know Bob at all?
Oh yeah.
Oh, was he
Bobby
the best?
the Brain.
The best.
Yep.
He was. He knew how to market. And he knew how to do storylines and stuff and now back to these guys. Jiu-Jitsu has UFC, MMA. Have you fought MMA, right?
I did, yeah. I fought for the IFL, which was like a team organization that was on like My Network TV, you know, Fox, back in probably 2007,
How many
2008.
fights did you have?
I had 14 professional fights.
Wow.
Yeah, not a ton,
Oh,
but
one's enough.
you know, I wanted to have 30 when I got started, but you know, my hips failed. I ended up having to have a couple of hip replacements. Took me out of professional
What's your
fighting.
pre-fight ritual in your head?
You know, mine's kind of unique actually. I'd like to get a mind-body connection going, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't like to actually visualize the fight because it made me nervous. It made me stressed.
Yeah.
So I've been snowboarding my whole life, and you know, there's a run at Eldora Mountain, you know, up
Sure,
just
of course.
outside of Boulder that I've ridden, you know, 10,000 times. And so after I warmed up, I would just lay down and close my eyes and visualize that I was dropping in on the top of that run. And so I'm still kind of getting that mind-body connection, and I'm flowing and I'm landing my tricks on the snowboard. So it was a way to sort of get into my body, but also separate myself from the violence that was about to transpire. You know, it was a way to get connected and visualize, but not put myself into the stress. You know, pre-fight, you know, 2 months out, I'd watch some tape. I'd see, you know, where my opponent was dangerous. You know, and this may be against what some people would tell you, but I would visualize worst case scenario. If, you know, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Okay, this guy's got, you know, 10 head kick knockouts with his left leg. You got to be well aware that that left leg is a weapon that can end the fight. You know, this guy's got 10 heel hook finishes in the first round. You got to be very aware of the leg entanglements on the ground. But after I'd visualized and understood the danger that I was facing, then I put that out of my mind, and I would just focus on, you know, imposing my will, doing the things that I wanted to do. But pre-match, you know, get my warm-up in, and then I'd close my eyes, I'd listen to some music. And I'd
Can you hear your corner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, when I need them, you
Yeah.
know, it kind of come, you know, in and out. Like if I'm flowing and everything's golden, then I'm not listening really.
Yeah.
But if I'm in a in a place where I need some pointers, certainly. You know, I had Eddie Bravo in my corner, Chris Riley. He's
Do you know who Eddie Bravo is?
I know who he is,
Oh,
yeah.
man.
And I have a question for you, both of you, because I think this is so fascinating. I mean, you've got the technique of it all. You've
Sure.
got the skill set. You've got the tape, like you said, on your opponent. Another mental challenge that I would imagine, having never been in the octagon, is fighting an individual that you can have respect for, even being a friend. Like I just saw the Fighting Machine. I don't know if or Smashing Machine.
That's a very
I
good.
thought it was. I think it's one of his best roles, but I thought it was interesting. And I remember a moment that has always stood out with me, with Conor McGregor and all his pre-fight hype and belittling the opponent.
Yeah.
And then he crushes a guy, and the announcer started talking to him in the interview, belittling him the way Conor did before. He goes, no, stop that. Anybody that gets into this ring, anybody
Bingo.
that gets there, he had all the respect in the world. The rest was hype.
sure.
How do you get in there knowing you're going to pummel each other? One of you is going to come out with your arm raised, and every now and then it's a guy that you have a great amount of respect for, or a friend. How do you separate that from the action that takes place in the ring, just for both of you?
I mean, the bottom line is he's trying to take everything I've worked for. You know, the way that I look at it, when he signs on that bout agreement across from me, he's saying that he's better than me. He's saying that, you know, the 20 years of grappling that I've put in, the hours on the road running, the time in the weight room, that he's better than all of that. And to me, I viewed that as a disrespect, and that he's trying to take everything that I've worked for, and that he's trying to take food out of my mouth and money out of my pocket, and I was going out there to kill him. And, you know, at the end, you know, we can be friends, certainly, and I have a lot of respect for guys that I fought. I fought a guy named George Gurgel. He was a big name in the UFC, and we had a battle that, I mean, it was, Yahoo Sports called it honorable mention for top 10 fights of the decade back in 2009. And boy, we went at each other, and at the end of it, it was just a feeling of love and respect, you know, because at the end of the day, his dream is the same as my dream.
Who took the fight?
He won.
Okay.
Yeah, he won a decision, And but it was a heck of a scrap.
Do you have management now, or are you
No,
done?
sir.
You're
Yeah,
out.
No,
Yeah, you're
I'm
done.
happily retired.
Yeah.
You mentioned before that fighting was the a sport of the lower class, of the poorer people.
It was
and
boxing.
Dana White's doing everything in his power to keep it that way. So I certainly wouldn't recommend fighting as a way to make a living for anybody else.
What about McGregor?
Well said.
What about McGregor and some of those purses that McGregor?
Well, have you seen him fight lately?
No, I know he's hurt. He's going to come. He signed with.
I don't think he's hurting in the pocketbook, and if you're not
No,
hurting in the
fine.
pocketbook, you find a reason not to fight.
Well, he signed with Netflix.
Okay.
I don't know
that
if you
true?
guys saw that. It was on Drudge yesterday that,
Okay.
that McGregor jumped to Netflix. And then
For the
is that
MVP
music?
promotion.
Everybody hang on. Let's take a pause. If you just joined us, I've been wanting to do this show. Connor and Briscoe are here. We're talking about jiu-jitsu and, of course, my partner, Jonathan Flora, who's nobody's better. 710 KNUS, Denver's talk station. We may get some phone calls in here if you want to call 303-696-1971. Stay here.
Your 710 KNUS forecast on this Saturday, sunny and warm, highs around 90. A few clouds tonight and breezy, lows down to 50. Quite a bit cooler for Sunday, highs near 70 with strong winds up to 25 miles per hour. Weather brought to you by L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. I'm day weather meteorologist Patrice Sutter in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
So now I'm a third degree. It takes 9 years to become a third degree. Your next 3 degrees are 5 years apart. So you're looking at 15 plus 9.
And you have to face a committee? I mean, nobody just grants
it's about you got to stay in the sport. You get promoted by,
but it's not
by
automatic,
your instructor.
Is it?
No, you got to continue to be active in the
Is there
sport.
testing in jiu-jitsu for promotion?
That depends on the school.
Okay.
Different schools have different ways of doing it. I don't test my guys. I mean, every practice is a test. Every time they show up,
sure.
I'm watching and I'm seeing where their skills are, and they don't know. They come in one day and they get they get awarded the next belt.
Listen,
But
my quick bad math, that's 30-something years.
I mean, to be so third degree is 9 years. 6th degree is another 15, so that's 24 years, and then it goes to 7 years. So if you're a 7th degree black belt, that's 31 years as a black belt.
It's impossible. I mean, there's somebody out there that's claiming all these different degrees, and it's a hoax.
Well, the thing is, right, is you should be able to trace somebody's lineage.
That was my point.
You come into 10th Planet Denver, you've got pictures of our lineage up on the wall, and you got Jigoro Kano trained Maeda. Maeda went to Brazil. He trained Carlos Gracie Sr., Helio Gracie, Carlos Gracie Jr.,
or the guys
Hickson
that came
Gracie,
off of Okinawa
John
before.
Jacques Machado, Eddie Bravo, myself. It's like you can follow it back.
When Funakoshi came off the island and went to Japan, and he took karate to Japan, you can trace him.
Yep.
That's our turnaround. Stay. Everybody sit right. Don't move. 710 KNUS. I'm Peter Boyles on a Saturday, and it's Jiu Jitsu.